Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 45th episode of By the Drip. This podcast dives into coffee, entrepreneurship, and the inspiring people we meet through the world of coffee. Today, we're joined by Jill Hoff, Director of Coffee and Education at Monogram Coffee. She's the former Canadian Barista Champion and an accomplished green buyer, a coach, and competitor. Jill's journey from Starbucks all the way to the world stage is one of patience, persistence, and passion. In this episode, we talk about what it takes to build a long career in specialty coffee, how Jill became the first woman to win the Canadian Barista Championship, and what she looks for when sourcing coffee at origin. Jill also shares the surprising connection between band life, yes, she's in a band, and barista life, and how she's found joy in walking, coaching, and building a meaningful career in coffee. So please enjoy our conversation with Jill Hoff. Thanks, Jill, for joining me.
No problem.
This is cool. I haven't done one in person in, I don't know, like 20 episodes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh.
It's usually on the dumpy Zoom, and it's not the same. So thanks for taking the time.
No problem.
How did you get into coffee? What's your origin story? I love starting there.
Okay. Well, I didn't have like an awakening moment with coffee.
That's good. That's better, actually.
It's better. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people taste a coffee and they're blown away. Can't believe coffee can taste like that. I didn't have that kind of story. Actually, when I was in high school, there was a Starbucks that opened down the street from the high school. And of course, all the kids are going there, spending their money at Starbucks every lunch hour. And then eventually I got a job at Starbucks.
Okay.
And I worked there for a long time. And then after I was like done my Starbucks era, I still really loved coffee. All of my friends that I
And were you drinking? Like, were you drinking
coffee?
like coffee at that time?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it was really cool because we would have like passports at work, and every time, I'm sure there's many Starbucks, like former Starbucks employees watching this.
One right here.
Okay. So, do you know about the passport?
Yeah.
Okay. And actually, when I started working at Starbucks, they did not have like automatic machines.
Yeah.
It was like back in the day of like
The Marzocco's.
Marzocco. And yeah, so I learned way back then on a real machine. And I was drinking the coffee, of course. I started out with like the Frappuccinos.
Okay.
Everybody does that. And then eventually like worked my way up to like regular coffee, drip coffee. And every morning when I would open, I'd have like a espresso with whipped cream and just like shoot that down.
The shooter.
The shooter. Had to do it to wake up first thing in the morning. I imagine, I haven't had that for so long, but I imagine I would absolutely hate that drink.
Yeah, that's not the same.
No, especially not. I don't even think I could drink a shot of espresso from Starbucks.
We'll edit that part out.
But yeah, so I worked at Starbucks, and then I remember one of my friends, she told me about this roaster who roasted coffee outside of Calgary, and they would deliver it like fresh every week to your house.
Okay.
And at the time, that wasn't like a real common thing. There weren't like coffee subscriptions like there are now. So I thought it was like super cool to have this like freshly roasted coffee delivered. So I signed up for that, and I started to just become like more and more interested in coffee. And I remember I went to Vancouver with my friends to go see Justin Timberlake.
Okay, yeah.
And someone was like, oh, if you go to Vancouver, you have to try JJ Bean. I had never like heard of JJ Bean. At the time, I was still like Starbucks. And, honestly, I'm not ashamed. I'd gas station coffee, like 7-Eleven coffee. Like I would drink pretty much anything at the time. So I went to JJ Bean, and I was like, this is the coolest place I've ever been to. So
what year is this?
Oh, God.
Like 2010?
When was it? I don't know. It was the Justin Timberlake, what was that? The 2020 album.
I
don't even know.
I'm not
like
that deep into music. I don't know the year.
I don't remember. Probably like around then, I would say.
Okay.
But yeah, I just thought it was like the coolest place ever. And actually, none of my friends enjoyed it as much as I did. I remember also going to Starbucks so that they could get coffee.
Yes.
But yeah, after that, I just like when I came back to Calgary, would start going to cafes and being more interested in like coffee. And that kind of led me to being interested in coffee through my now boss, who is Ben Putt. And I knew that he worked at Phil and Sebastian. I was in a band with him, or still am in the same band with him, actually. So I heard about Phil and Sebastian and like coffee competitions and all that kind of stuff through him. And our whole band just thought he was like such a nerd.
Right.
Like we had no idea, like, what do you mean you're like competing? Like who can make the best coffee? Like it was very like outside of what any of us had ever heard about before. And yeah, I remember one day he was competing at the World Barista Championship in Italy. Rimini, maybe? No, was that Jeremy? I don't know. I can't. Anyways, he was in Italy and Phil and Sebastian had a big watching party and I went there. And I remember watching it and just being like, this is actually like really cool. We've been making fun of him for like who knows how long about this thing. And it's like actually really cool. So I knew that him and his business partners, Jeremy and Justin, were starting a cafe, a coffee roasting company. And I wanted in. So just kind of a lot of like small
how did
events.
you meet as a band? Tell the band
How did we meet as a band?
You guys, you play country music.
Yeah, we play country music. And he was actually, so it's been a long time actually that we've been in this band, but ages and ages ago, the lead singer of the band, he was he still is friends with a hockey player.
Okay.
And this hockey player lived in Chestermere and he was from Calgary, but he lived in Chestermere and every year he had a stampede party and he knew that this guy could sing and could play guitar. So he asked him just to put together a country band to play at his like big stampede party. And I wasn't actually invited to be in the band at that time. So I went to go watch them perform at this big party. And then, yeah, so Ben was actually in the band before I was. And the two other singers in the band are the original, the same guy who started the band, and my best friend who sings as well. We all went to college together. We did music in college. So yeah, so I joined the band, I think like a few years after they started. They decided that they wanted to do like more than just like this one stampede party. So yeah, I joined the band. I met Ben, he was playing bass. And
what do you play?
I play keyboard in the band and I sing as well.
Oh man.
You should come see us, Dave.
I'm not a big stampede guy.
I see your brother in the crowd every year. Yeah.
Okay, so you're in the band, you hear about Monogram's going to open.
Yep.
What were you doing for work and why make the transition into coffee?
Yeah. At the time, I was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
So I have 3 kids and I had been out of like, not like real work, but working like really for someone for a long time. I had been teaching vocal lessons at home for like 6 or 7 years.
Oh, cool.
So I was doing that, which was really nice. But my youngest was getting ready to go to kindergarten. And I, like I said, really loved drinking coffee and going to cafes. And I thought it would be like such a fun place to just go. I felt it would be cool to meet people, just chat with people, really like low stress, not have much responsibility, just kind of go drink some coffee, chat with some people and go home. So that's what I thought my job would be. And
if you could go back in time, you've been in the industry like
10 years now. Yeah, 10 years at Monogram. Yeah.
And if you could talk to yourself, could you ever like predict what was going to come?
Oh my gosh, no.
Because you have like a storied career. Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay, so are you there on day one?
No. So I was the first employee, other than the 3 guys. Okay. But they were in their pop-up for, I think maybe like 3 months before I was hired. And then I did some training and I started working in, I think it was January 2015. Yeah.
Wow, so it's almost like 10 years
Yeah.
to the day, but
Yeah.
okay. And what was it like at the very beginning? Because I think a lot of people join coffee companies.
Yeah.
They got a few stores or at least one store. You're at like the ground floor of like a coffee startup that has become, fairly famous in the industry. What is that arc like?
It's actually been, especially since I knew Ben before, it's been really cool to see like this idea that they had at the start, and then being there when it was like a GS3 and a mini fridge and no drip coffee, nothing.
Yeah.
And it was just me working pretty much by myself every day.
And it was in an art
gallery.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to see like that transform into like multiple cafes and a roastery and all of these things now. So it's been really cool to see like how much it's grown.
What in that, like, if you can reflect back, okay, in the first year to like, you guys opening your first cafe, was there like moments that went on that kind of helped you guys make that decision? Or were you worried like, I'm joining this like three, I don't know, kind of weird, nerdy guys and like, is this going to work? Or would you leave like work and be like, oh my, like, what have I done? Like I've joined this startup. What have I done? Or was it always like smooth sailing from the get-go?
I never questioned it actually.
Oh, wow.
When I first had my interview, because I was hoping to do something part-time, but the role that they were looking for, because they weren't hiring many people at all, was full-time. And I just like had a feeling in my gut that I should just take the leap and just go for it and go like all in. I had a feeling that this would be something really good. I don't know why. I don't know what made me think that, but I just trusted my gut and like jumped in. And I feel like opening multiple cafes and that sort of thing is never smooth sailing per se, but I've never had the feeling of what have I done? Not yet. I mean, I still could. 10
years later, you haven't had that feeling.
Yeah. No.
Okay. You're a historic coffee figure in coffee competitions in Canada. You've gone to Worlds. What was the first time or moment you saw Ben, I guess through the viewing party, compete, but what made you, watching that, did you think to yourself like, oh, I could see myself doing that, or I want to do that? Like, what was your journey into competition?
So, no, I actually didn't see him compete and think like, that's cool enough that I want to do that. Sorry, Ben. But when I was working in the art gallery, there was the like regional competition that was happening in Calgary. And for whatever reason, that one year, the rule was if you had won the nationals the year before, you didn't have to compete at regionals. You could go straight to nationals. So Ben had won the year before, and so he did not have to compete. And one of my other bosses, he is also a former Canadian barista champion. So both of them came up to me and were like, we really think you should compete. We think you can do it. We should send somebody. Ben's not going to be doing it. You should do it. And I needed a little bit of convincing to be able to do it, because the time of the competition, I was only making coffee for 6 months with Monogram. So leading up to that, I had a lot of like prep to do. And when I decided to do it, I feel like I basically learned how to be a barista by prepping for that comp, because I had a few months of prepping for competition. And of course you have all of the technical rules and that sort, tasting coffee and all that kind of stuff. So I really had to focus on like learning that stuff. And I think that really helped me to become just a regular barista that was very tidy and efficient. And it really helped me learn barista skills training for that competition. So I didn't volunteer to do it. I decided if they think I can do it, maybe I should do it.
They're telling you to do it. And what was the result that year?
Well, I don't know if you remember, but that year I won the regional and Cole had got second place. But our scores were actually tied.
But you had a better
But I
espresso.
had a better espresso score. And I...
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. So that was like, obviously for me, crazy like shock. Because at the time, there's all of these people lined up getting called for their places. And there were still like multiple people left to be called for first and second. And since I hadn't got called for like sixth, fifth, fourth, I did not think in any way that I was going to be one of the 2 people being called, because how could that be possible?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was like crazy shock.
And there's a lot of people that are listening or watching. What's some advice to first time competitors? If you can think about yourself back then, what's like, I don't know, 2 or 3 pieces of advice that you could give them for first time competitors?
I feel like the first time, there's a lot of advantages to obviously baristas who have competed multiple times. Part of the advantage is that because they've done it many times, they've read and reread the rules and have like a bit more of an understanding of like how to play the game and how to compete. So I would really encourage people to read the rules a lot. They're boring. Nobody likes to do that. People want to make sig drinks and write your like inspirational speech and all these kinds of get really cute cups and wares and stuff like that. But focus on like the rules so that you really have a handle on like what the competition is about. I would also say that reaching out to other people who you have seen compete in the past. I feel like people are a little bit intimidated to reach out to people, especially if they don't know them at all. But there's no harm in like sending a random email or DM to somebody who you don't know, because more often than not, I would say that those people on the other end are more than willing to offer advice and to help you out. And then the third thing, rules, ask for help. The third thing I would say is, take your feedback from your judges and like really digest that and take that to heart. Obviously, even when you win a competition, but when you don't win a competition, nobody's happy with what the judges have said, because you've spent a long time developing your routine. You think you have the best coffee. You really believe in like what you put forward. And so when you don't get the results that you want, you don't necessarily want to take that advice, but you're never going to get better as a barista competitor if you don't take what the judges say and apply it to your next routine.
Yeah, I think that's such a key point, because unless you win, the score sheet doesn't always make sense.
Yeah.
And so I think people get really frustrated, especially their first or second time, on like, oh, the judges didn't get it. And it's like, well, maybe you didn't explain it well to the judges, or what you said and occurred just was too far apart.
Yeah.
And
I think a mistake that a lot of people make too is they see their score and maybe there's like something that they really don't understand, or there's something that they think they got like unjustly marked down for. And they'll say, well, if I would have done that, I would have won, or I would have got this place. But all of those barista competitors who are placed higher than you also have things on. Nobody has a perfect sheet. So all of those other barista competitors have places that if they would have done XYZ, their score would have improved as well. So not to dwell on like, oh, if I would have done this, or if the judge didn't like do this or say this, I would have done better. Just take like your own, I guess, set your own like score sheet and don't worry about everything else, because everybody else has their own set of circumstances as well. So you can only control what you put forward and what you do with your result. And I think that's really important to realize that, yes, you are competing against other people. And so you have to like, you know, kind of feel it out and see how your competition is doing things. But you can only really like focus on
run your own
self, run your own race. Yeah.
Also, so many, I look back at our career and it's like, sometimes you'd get caught up in what other people were doing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, just focus on what you're doing and the results will come. It might not come right away, but you're running your own race, and there's no point worrying about what someone else's coffee is, or they have the cool new gadget or whatever, because you can't control those things.
You can't. And one thing that is like still to this day so confused, speaking of like, you can't control other people's coffee backstage, or what people like don't want to reveal what coffee they're using, or they don't want to like share their coffee. But at that point, it's like, what is the other competitor going to do? Like, people aren't going to just like throw their whole set out the window and like go get a new coffee. Yeah. So I feel like everybody's so secretive sometimes, and it's like, who cares? Like,
or I'll watch your set and find out.
Like, I'll see you in 30 minutes and I'll know. Yeah.
Yeah. There's silly things that kind of go on. Okay. So first year goes overall very well for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you come back. What's the journey kind of as you go through your career up until winning? How many times did you compete before winning? What were kind of the results in between? Yeah.
I feel very lucky actually, because I did have quite a good record until I won. I've made finals every year that I competed, which I don't
know if anyone else has that record. No one in Canada. Well, unless they competed once or twice, but
who would know that answer? Leave the comment below. But yeah, so on my 5th year is when I won, and I always finaled. I always had really great coffee and really good feedback on my sets. But the one area that I always struggled with was the technical side of it. I never focused on that. I felt like I know what I'm doing. I don't know if I like actually thought that at the time, but looking back, it's like I never focused on that. I'd never looked at the tech score sheets. I always focused on like my coffee scores and my presentation. But I remember the year that I won at the regional, I got, I think I got 4th or 5th at the regional.
Okay.
And I was so mad at myself. I just was like, I want to win one day. Like, I can't even win the regional. Like, I can't go backwards. Like, what is going on? And so my tech score sheet, I was like, this is the place where I'm always failing. So I actually reached out to a judge who was always tech judging every single year. And I sent them my score sheets, and I really went into depth on what's expected from tech, how to use this tech score sheet. And they were so gracious and so awesome. And they really, really helped me with that. And so the year that I won, I finally had some perfect scores on my tech sheet.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I mean, I, again, still had great scores with coffee, of course, but taking the time to really focus on this thing that's not the fun part of competition. And I feel like the tech score sheet is what really pushed me over to win that year.
I think it's the foundation of making great coffee.
Yeah, of course.
And it's if the tech isn't there, making great coffee becomes much harder. You can still make great coffee with good tech scores or good technical skills, but to really achieve the high scores or to be an amazing barista, it's the technical foundation has to be built up. And I think it's kind of boring to look at. It's not the sexy part of competition or worrying about your distribution, but it's it's the foundation. Okay, you understood the tech side, but how does a working barista kind of use that? How can I use that in my cafe?
How can you use that in your cafe? Honestly, I wish that more baristas would use some elements of the technical score sheet. I honestly, and so part of my job is that I'm in charge of the education at the cafes. And strangely enough, I've never incorporated the barista tech score sheet as part of the training. I feel did I just learn? I need to, do I have some work to do? I feel like it's obviously, well, I just admitted, I don't use it in my training, but I do focus a lot on efficiency and like being mindful of like muscle memory and that sort of thing, because it really helps with it, especially like, I mean, when you're doing barista competition, you have 15 minutes, you have to make things really fast. You need things to all be in like a spot where you can, you know where it is. So you're not looking for stuff, you're not knocking things over. Everything's like efficient and quick. And I think that also applies in the cafe. You have a lineup of people, or not even one person who comes in, you want to make their coffee as fast as possible. So having like everything in place and clean really makes you more efficient as a barista, and it allows you to spend more time on important things versus like looking for your gear or cleaning up all the time or trying to like work on a dirty surface. Overall, I don't use the tech score sheet when I created my training program, but maybe I should incorporate some of those things, because I do think that fundamentally some of the things that are
there's a few things.
There's some things
funny
in there that are, you know, who's to say what's important and what's not,
That's
but
true.
that I necessarily wouldn't want to implement in the cafe. But yeah, I do think fundamentally the tech score sheet sets you up to a place where you can be fast, efficient, and make great coffee.
And you talked a little bit about, before the big win, let's talk about your career. So you're a working barista leading up to this. When does your role change into education?
That is a good question. I feel like it was transitioning over towards what I do now by the time that I did win. One major bonus of working at the company from the ground up is being able to kind of tailor your role as the company grows to things that you're interested in and things that you're good at. So there was a little bit of a transition path to moving more in towards what I'm doing now by then, because it would have been 5 or 6 years after, maybe 6 years after. But yeah, so now my role at Monogram, the official title is Director of Coffee and Education. So I kind of have like two wings that I deal with. The education side is what we've been talking about already. I have 2 staff who work for me, and they take care of all of our wholesale training and education, and they do all of our staff training and education, any like educational content or customer classes or anything that I oversee. So I don't have to, there was a point in time where I had to do all of it, and now I don't, but I have a really great team who does all of that. And then the coffee side of it is like anything from production, QC, to curating the cafe menus, green buying, any of that kind of stuff. So there's 2.
Those are like
big roles into one.
Yeah, that's a Ben. She needs a raise. Come on.
Oh no.
How do you balance those two?
We actually have like as far as like the quality and like coffee education side of things at Monogram, we're a pretty small team. So it's Ben, myself, and then Sandy, who you know, and another person named Damien. He was just at SCA, so he got to meet a lot of great people.
Oh, sweet.
But yeah, we have a really small, but I think like a mighty team with lots of years of experience. So I think that we're able to tackle all of that. I'm also a very organized person, and I like to anticipate things and make sure that I have everything like all lined up. So I can handle it.
It's
but
easy.
You know,
work.
it's easy, but I have a really great team of people who really make it. I could never do it by myself anymore. So.
Okay. So you go, the year that you win, we gotta paint a picture here.
Okay.
It's 2020, January 2020, before the world's going to shut down. Or is it February?
I don't know, somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
The world's about to shut down. I remember the events in Victoria, and there's signs going up while the competition is going on about, wash your hands, which should just be a normal thing, but you got to remind people to wash their hands.
Yeah.
And COVID's kind of like lurking.
Yeah.
But we don't know it's coming, I guess. What you got Ben's competing, you got Cole competing. There's a bunch of heavy hitters that year. Mm-hmm. What is your mental mindset going into, I guess, finals that year?
Okay, so back to when I was like really upset with myself for regionals. I love competition. I actually love all of the prep leading up to competition, but the actual like 15 minutes of competition time, I feel very stressed. Yeah. And so I kind of just like leave my body almost every time. And I never really remember it. It's not really like a great time for me. I don't know why I kept doing it every year. I think I just love everything about competition. And I remember being so mad at myself that I got, who knows, 5th, I think, something like that. And my major goal was to be in the moment and to actually walk away from the competition, like the 15 minutes, and say, I actually had fun. I enjoyed that. I remember everything. It was a good time.
Like that was new frame.
It was a new frame of mind. I was obviously like, everybody competes because they want to win. Nobody competes because they want to lose, right? So I just thought, obviously I want to do well, but I want to remember my freaking 15 minutes and have a good time. Like, I love this thing that I'm doing all the time. So yeah, I just wanted to like be proud of myself and do the best that I can do. Cause I always felt like I would psych myself out and then I would do X, Y, or Z to sabotage myself in the 15 minutes. And I just didn't want that. I just wanted to feel happy and proud.
And where did the baseline come from of like, I want to be in the present? Like, how did you do that? Because I think a lot of people struggle.
It's really hard. Yeah.
Struggle being here and now and fully present.
Yeah.
And with anything, my mind wanders and it's like, hey, focus here. Like, why are you worrying about the next thing when it should be spent here?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of time in between regional and national, and I think I don't know if it was just like speaking it over and over again that manifested like I'm going to have fun. I'm going to like enjoy myself. This is like what I want to be doing, and I don't know if it was that. Many months of prepping, trying to like, I also felt a lot of pressure because I always did well. And so I think that's also kind of where where I didn't enjoy it, because I felt like, actually, I remember backstage, Nelson, if you happen to be watching this, he said, oh, don't worry about it. Like you always do good. And I was like, those kinds of things made me feel stressed because I know he's being great and he's encouraging me. But for me, I felt like the pressure is on to not fail because I've always done well. So I just decided to kind of shake that off. And it was a lot of like mental work and just making sure that I really knew my set so well that I wasn't wrapped up in like trying to remember the small things. And I guess it worked because not only did I win, but I actually did really enjoy that last presentation that I gave. So before I knew the results, I already felt good about the presentation that I gave.
What was the first kind of thoughts after your name? Your name gets called last, you're the winner. What kind of goes through your mind? Is it relief? Is it excitement? Is it, I just beat my boss?
I think all of those things, actually. Yeah. And especially because I'd always been competing either against Ben or Cole or both for my whole competition career. And obviously we all know their success as well. So I had set out a goal for myself to be the first Canadian barista champion who was a woman. Yeah. And so I was just, all those things. Relief that I finally won. Oh, I don't have to do this again. Relief. I just beat these two guys who are very successful. I don't know, a lot of things. I also really love my boss, and I know that his he has certain goals for winning. So I also did feel a little bit, sad for him to have not won that year as well. It was like a major mix of emotion because obviously I care about him and I care about his success, and I care about myself and my own success. So there was like a little bit of a mix of emotions. He has won lots of times. Yeah.
So being the first woman to win, what does that mean? And then layering on top of that, how do we get more women competing in competition? What do you think? Or does that matter? Or
I definitely think it matters. When I did win, I got lots and lots of messages from other women or like people who don't identify as like cis, male, just thanking me for like keep on like going every year, and people who were inspired to like compete again or to compete for the first time. And I did feel like very, I don't know what the word is, like grateful that I was able to be that kind of role model for other people who wanted to compete. Because up until then, it was the same type of person who had won every year. So I think for many people, seeing someone who looked different win the competition was like something that inspired people. And I obviously think that more women should compete. I feel like it's important for there to be a variety of people who win competitions. I don't know why it's still so male dominated. There's so many really great female baristas. At one point, my whole team was female. But I don't know. I have noticed in the 10 years that I've been at Monogram, when I first started, it was very, very like male dominated industry. And I do still think that it is mostly that, but there has been a lot of change from what I have like experienced over the last 10 years. So I think things are like obviously headed in the right direction. I think as far as like, I don't know if men just have more like confidence that they can like go out and do something, and women maybe don't have as much confidence that they can go up against these people. I don't know what it is. If anyone knows, again, drop a comment. Maybe we could help more people compete who feel like they can't otherwise. Yeah. But yeah.
I think it also goes back to your points of like when you're first starting out, like reach out to someone and like, how did you get into competition? Like, what's a piece of advice that can help me? And we want to see, half the reason we're doing this, we want to see more people of any gender, anywhere in the world compete, because it improves our industry. It improves the role of the barista. We just want more people in here. And I think it's like access to knowledge. It seems like it can be really guarded. Yeah. I think especially when we were coming up and trying to learn really understand the rules, it was like brutal trial and error. And now it's, I think, still trial and error, but it's easier to understand. It's easier to get in.
And I think like something that I've really noticed, especially in the Canadian competitions, is the people who have won are people who have come back year after year after year. And I think many people get discouraged when they see the same people winning over and over again. But you have to remember, like, if this is your first or second year competing, that those people didn't win until many years after they started competing. So just because you don't win on your first or second or even third or even fourth year, just keep coming back and just improving and getting better. I like everyone that has won in the very long recent history have been people who have won on their fifth, sixth, seventh year of competing. And it takes that many years to be able to really understand like what you're doing as a barista competitor.
Yeah, it takes reps, and you need as many as possible. Yeah. And trying to shrink that is like through knowledge or like asking people for help. But yeah, you need those reps to get. Yeah. It took Cole 8 years. I don't know how long it took Ben.
I think it was 5
Yeah, so
as well.
like both of you guys, 5 years. Like it takes time, so which is hard. It's easy after you win. It's easy to say like, oh, it just takes a few years, but keep going, people. Everyone needs to keep going.
Don't give up. If it's your goal, then just keep going.
So you go to Worlds. What's the experience going from Canada to the world stage? And it was a really strange year. Yeah. So that year was 2021. COVID was still like not going as strong, but still fairly strong. We still had to wear masks and all that kind of stuff. We were in Italy, and a lot of judges did not get their COVID tests to be able to come and judge. So there was a very small pool of judges. The competitors couldn't like really mingle. We were split into 2 groups. And so backstage, you could only be with your group, and then they would switch over for the next group. So it was a very different atmosphere than what I had seen before. That also had pluses because you had a smaller group. You got to know different people that you maybe wouldn't have seen otherwise because there's like so many countries mingling in the back. But opposite to my experience in Canada, I really enjoyed being on the stage and competing. I don't know if it was because there wasn't, obviously, like, again, you want to advance to the next rounds, but it was like, I'm here. I made it here. I'm the best in my country. Everyone else is the best in their country. And like, just do your best. And I don't know what it was, but I really, really enjoyed being on stage for Worlds. I think it's just because I already made it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like the weight's been lifted.
Yeah.
I always say that, but the weight's lifted. It's like, there's nothing really to lose.
Yeah. Nothing to lose.
It's your first,
you already won.
Yeah. You've already won once, and it's like, you're going, so you have the result there. Now through this whole time, we haven't talked about your coaching role. Mm-hmm. You're also, you're an amazing barista, but you're also an amazing coach. When does that role start? And where are you now? Like, I know you're coaching some people for Milan.
Yes. Shout out to Jenny. I feel like, so I think I do want to compete again. I was not satisfied with my result in Milan, so I would like to do better than that.
Sweet.
But I started coaching like the year after that. Up until then, Ben and I more worked as like a team. And since we were always like competing kind of with each other, we would do our own thing, but help each other. And I, that year, started to take on more of like the coaching responsibilities with him, which was actually like really cool. It was a little bit of a different dynamic. And Ben has been coaching people for a long time throughout his journey as well. And when we were where were we? I think it was Greece. When Ben was competing, he had some people who were there helping him backstage from other countries. And we said like, hey, if you want to compete, we'll help you out. And we work as a team really well together because we obviously have like overlapping skills when it comes to like tasting and that sort of thing. But we do have very different skills as well. So I think together we're a good combo because for the most part, we can kind of like cover with our skill set not everything. I think like you need more people, but most of what you would need to be able to help someone else succeed in barista competition. So the first person that I coached that was outside of Monogram was Jenny from Mexico. And it was a really great experience. And I actually really love coaching. I think that, you obviously do as well because you coach many, many people. I don't know if you feel the same way where you get like all the thrills of comp and like the camaraderie and like building sets and doing all the fun stuff, but you don't have to be that person on stage for 15 minutes. And I love that part of coaching. I have the stamina to watch like 40 sets, and I love helping people see like their vision and then making it like realized onto the big stage. So I love coaching. I would say I like it better than competing for sure.
I think it's unlike myself. You have like that dual role where I've been on stage and this worked or didn't work, and you can pass that on.
Yeah.
Where I've only been a coach, so I can't pass that. I don't have that kind of knowledge. So there's something about past or current competitors stepping into the coaching role that I think can really like elevate the person they're coaching, because you have little tactical things that have occurred to you that like a non-competitor coach.
I mean, I feel like you've done a pretty good job.
I think we've both done a great job. I can see things that, like your kind of coaching would have that I don't have. I'm kind of,
well, maybe one day we'll all team up.
Create
I'll one super coach.
We'll bring me out of retirement to finally compete one time. Okay, so you're just coaching Jenny.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Nope.
Ben?
Yes. Well, he is going to compete again at this. So fingers crossed. Yeah. But so
you'll have your hands full in Milan.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Green. Okay. We're going to switch competition to green coffee buying. Yep. That's part of your role now. Mm-hmm. What does that look like? Because I think a lot of baristas, roasters, that's the holy grail of like jobs in coffee. One, does it feel like that? And two, what does the role actually mean? What do you do? Yeah,
so I totally know what you're talking about. I think people see like the Instagram side of green buying where it's traveling to all of these different origins. It is for me, the part that I really love about it is connecting with the producers and creating the relationships. And that like carries on far beyond like any origin trip, because you're in contact with people all year round. And that's the part that I really love about it. Being at Origin, it's obviously amazing to be able to see like the work of the producers and to see the place that this coffee comes from. There's like such a connection with the job that you do, like in wherever you're from in your city that's not a coffee growing city, to be able to see where it all begins. And so there's something like super cool about that. And that for me has not lost like any of its magic going down to Origin and seeing, because every farm is different. There's something always new to see, but it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work, a lot of early mornings, a lot of late nights, a lot of like travel, like very long airplane rides, sleeping on planes, sleeping on buses or in cars, being away from your family and friends for a long amount of time. So there definitely is the side that people don't see that isn't like the glamorous stuff. But I'll take that to be able to like see the people and the farms and that sort of thing. So yeah, long days, a lot of travel. Spreadsheet,
like you gotta run the numbers on.
So it's a lot of, it definitely is a lot of work that extends far beyond that like few days that you spend on the farm.
And what is someone's, I'm asking you for lots of advice, but like I'm a barista. How do I become a green coffee buyer? What do I like? How
That's
do
tricky. That is tricky.
I think it's so sought after in our industry, and it's like, what kind of skills do I need? Mm-hmm. And then how do I make the transition from, I'm in role A and I want to be in that role?
Right. I think, I have some thoughts about that. Something that is like unfortunate about coffee is there's so many positions, like as a barista, manager, like cafe level, that sort of thing. As you kind of like get up, the jobs start to get fewer and far between. Mm-hmm. And some of those roles are occupied by people that they don't want to leave their job. And so it is hard to get into those roles, which I think is unfortunate, because people often leave specialty coffee because they don't, and it is hard work working shift every single day. Yeah. That's not like a long-term career at all. So I think it is unfortunate that these kinds of roles aren't available as much as they could be or should be, or I don't even know. But let's say there is a position, people are, posting green buyer wanted. I would say that you definitely need to have some kind of organizational skill. For sure. You need to be able to organize. You have to have some personal skills because a lot of it is to do with relationships. That is, I would say, the number one thing with any roaster and their producer is you need to be able to cultivate a relationship with somebody and continue that throughout the year and every year. So that is very important. Obviously, you need to have like the tasting skills.
Yeah.
And that just comes with a lot of practice. So like at our cafes, we encourage all of our staff to cup. So we have like the cupping tools and like we have all of the instructions on how to cup. People are free to come to our production cuppings whenever they want. And we have like team events and stuff where people taste together. And I think if it's something that you're interested in pursuing, just practicing that and cupping with other people and tasting other coffees, tasting coffees from different origins. And just, go for what you want. If you want to do that, apply and make sure you have some of those skills. Be a good people person.
Yeah, that's super important. The quality, understanding quality,
yeah.
I think is important too. Or not only quality, but it's like you got to find, it's not just like competition coffees you're sourcing. You're also sourcing like the coffee that's going to go into a blend or
that is my specialty.
Right. And it's like, that is a certain skill set.
Yeah.
And it takes time and energy to understand like whatever, an 82 point coffee from whatever country that's at a good price point that meets the margins, long-term relationship, everyone is, getting paid well. Like that is a different skill set than just going, I don't know. We see going to Panama and buying the world's most expensive coffee. There's like different skills and you need to understand that most of the time it's over here. You're buying those coffees, not, competition level coffees. How does someone, okay, they see the posting.
Yeah.
So you got the three pieces of advice, which I think are like, those are perfect.
There's probably more, but that's kind of
what, like, okay, what do I do though? How do I like grow to that position? Like, okay, I got to train my palate. I can't.
I think a lot of people don't want to do the work to get up to whatever level they want to do. Much like competition, people think like, oh, I can be a barista for a year and then all of a sudden I can be a head roaster and then I can be a green buyer. And there's a lot of in between and there's a lot of like patience as well. If specialty coffee is something that you're really passionate about and you want to do this job eventually in the future, I feel like you really have to be patient and pay your dues and like work hard because those roles don't come up very often. So you have to be okay with working in roles that you're maybe not necessarily like totally in love with, or maybe might not be like your like biggest passion. But I feel like though it's important to wait it out and wait for something if it's worth it. It's worth waiting for. If it's something that you want, it's worth waiting for. And it took me many years. Also, I knew that I wanted to do this for a very long time, and you have to work your way up to be able to do that. And it is an important role. It's like arguably like one of the most important roles, spending the most money that your company is going to spend. And so you have to also acknowledge that it is a major responsibility to be spending the company's money on this product that is their like livelihood. So it is definitely an honor to be in that role too.
How many years did it take you?
When did I go? I'm trying to think. Maybe I would say at year 6, I went on a trip with Justin to kind of like learn from him. And we went to Brazil. And so that has been like the origin that I've taken over. So I've been to Brazil every year after that. But I think it was year 6 or 7.
So it takes a bit of time. It takes a while to like, it's a lot of trust to be, you're saying you're spending probably the most amount of money in the company. So it takes a lot of trust and you got to build that relationship with, the ownership team and it's interesting to reflect in like the star position that so many people want. And I think It's almost like a bit like roasting. People think it's one thing, and like, I kind of talk people out of roasting.
On it, who wants to like drag those bags around? Like,
okay, yeah, I thought you were gonna say something else.
No, there's many things about roasting.
It's
hard,
very physical, but it's also demanding in the way you got to follow the graph, and it's not it's not as like I think a lot of people think it's like this creative endeavor.
Oh, you can't be creative.
No,
we don't want your creativity on our production line.
It's not 2002 where you're just freestyling it. Okay, I want to transition to you personally.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about you, but you personally, what does like rest look like? How do you recharge?
Right now, I would say going for walks. When I get home, I love to just like put in my AirPods and go for like an hour and a half and just walk. Take my dog. I have 2 dogs.
Okay.
One of them not so good on a leash, so he's not relaxing for me. So he never gets to come. But my other dog, she's great. I can put my hands in my pocket and she's on a leash and she doesn't pull at all. So she's great. But I love taking my dog for a walk.
Okay, and that helps relax.
It's my favorite thing to do, I think.
What's
and watching TV.
TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't forget that.
Okay, TV.
I know you're not a big
I'm not
TV
a TV
person,
guy, but what's like?
Which I cannot understand.
What's a show? What's a show that people like got to watch?
No,
what's a recommendation?
No, don't take any of my recommendations. I like trashy TV.
Okay.
So don't come to me for TV advice at all.
High quality TV.
I'm not. I feel like the high quality TV, everyone's always like, oh, you got to watch this show. You got to watch this show. And I look and I'm like,
no, give me Love Island.
Love Island. There's not enough drama in those other shows. I like the reality TV, the trash TV.
Okay. That's okay. That's, what's like something that the industry that you think is wrong or you have like a controversial view on, that we get wrong or some just, I'm not framing that very well, but
a controversial, I would say in general, I'm not a very controversial person. Okay. I don't have like big extreme thoughts that like tick people off one way or the other.
Okay.
I think something that is like very popular right now in the industry is like infused coffees and co-fermented coffees. And I know that within the community, there's like a big group of people who are like very, very against them. Oh, they're not real coffee. They're not like a true process. They hide terroir, like all this kind of stuff. Honestly, I feel like, and this might not be controversial because I'm sure there are people in the same camp as me, but I really do think that they have a purpose and like a use in the industry. I think that for people who are not drinking specialty coffee, when they try something like that, it's like so wild for them. Right. And it starts conversation. And so I feel like for that purpose, it's like great. I was talking to a producer actually earlier this year, and he was saying that for many producers who typically wouldn't have sold their coffee for much money, now with like this type of processing, they can charge higher prices, which is ultimately like better for those producers, which is an opinion. I hadn't talked with a producer who doesn't make that type of coffee before. Yeah. And so I heard that from somebody this year, which I thought was like a good perspective as well. So they might not be like my thing to drink. I'm not going to be, making one of those first thing in the morning. Bit powerful. But I do think that they have their place for sure. I'm not against them.
Okay.
I think not that I'm like, that's boring. I know. Okay. I'm sorry. I wish I had something better.
It's good. It's good. The C market.
Okay.
Where, you're a green coffee buyer. Mm-hmm. We did hit all-time highs this year. We've come back a bit, but it's still, most people would say it's quite high. Mm-hmm. Is this a good or bad thing? Because I'm hearing kind of everything. I'm hearing I keep hearing the coffee crisis, and there's one side saying this is really good, producers are making more. And then there's another side that's saying like, there's no margin for anyone. This is bad for the roaster and cafes, et cetera, et cetera. So,
and obviously both need to exist, because you can't grow coffee and have it sell to no one.
Exactly.
And you So, I don't know. I think it's one of those things where market prices affect so many things, and people are very okay with like fluctuating prices on pretty much everything else. When it comes to coffee, people really get up in arms about having to spend more money on their like daily coffee. So I think that it's a good educational tool actually for consumers. Like everything else aside, I think it's a good tool for consumers to understand that this is also a commodity where the price is going to fluctuate, and understand that like where that money is going to, and that it's okay for people to raise prices because we need to account for the C price. And because it's been in the media so much, I think that consumers are like vaguely aware that there's something happening in the coffee industry. So it's no surprise that things are happening. But I think it's good. I think it's good for consumers to see fluctuating prices and to be okay with paying higher prices, knowing that there's this thing that we're not just raising our prices because we want to make more money. We're raising our prices because we have to pay for this item that you want every day. So everything else aside, I think that it's probably a good educational tool for consumers for like the future of coffee too.
I need a prediction. Is the C price going up or down?
Oh no. I'm going to say it's going to go down.
It's going to go down?
Yeah, it's going to go down. By the end of the year, it'll go down.
Okay. I think we're at, I don't know, just under 4.
Oh, it's under 4 now? Last week it was at 4.20. I haven't looked this week.
I think it's just
we're under 4 now. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's been wild. What's next? What's next for you? What
is next for me?
What's on the horizon here?
I don't know. Like in terms of work, I don't know. I feel
or life. What you don't
work and life. Well, in terms of work, I feel very happy with the job that I have. I'm very fortunate. Like I said,
thought you were
to
going
be
for
able
that
to
raise. You were talking before we got on.
Yeah,
you want that big raise.
Yeah, I mean, I probably deserve one.
Exactly.
Yeah. But no, I think for now, just competition is coming in a couple of months, and focusing on like the competitor that we're already helping in Mexico are going to consume a lot of my time for the next little while. So I think I'm good. In terms of personal, well, I don't know. You're a runner.
Yeah. Well, I've fallen off, but yes.
Okay. I'm not a runner. I actually don't understand why people run. I feel like it's not enjoyable at all, but I love walking.
Okay.
So I'm going to walk the 10K.
Oh, sweet.
Calgary Marathon.
Oh,
Will you be there?
No.
Come on.
Since I've been home, I have not. I've literally run like once or twice. I'm trying to lift more weights again.
Oh,
and I have a
nice.
rower at home, so I do big rows. That's my thing. But maybe the thing with running, it's like it's so painful until it's not. It's like you got to build like I recorded when we were traveling a bunch. I recorded like all my distances.
Yeah.
And at the very start, it was like I was hitting like 3.5 kilometers. And I remember walking.
Yeah.
And then by the end, it was like 15 kilometers was no problem whatsoever. And if you said to me, I would have been like you. I'd been like, I do not run. Like I hate running.
Yeah.
It just takes time. It's like
I can't comprehend running for that long. Like the marathon is so far.
I haven't done a marathon. I've done a half.
Even a half is so far.
Yeah, it was a lot. But it's like, I don't know. There's something about the mental challenge. Yeah. It's like first it's physical, and then once the physical kind of gets removed, then it becomes like the mental challenge of like just keep going, keep grinding. And that's what I enjoyed about it more. I think I want to do a marathon because I want to see, I'm not really worried about my body not keeping up. I'm more worried about like my mind breaking and saying like at kilometer, whatever, 32, it's like,
jeez,
fuck it. Like I can't do this anymore. There's no, there's the bounce or something. There's some name for like, you kind of hit a wall.
Yeah.
And it's like your will just has to keep you going. So
And are you listening to like podcasts while you run, music while you run? Nothing?
No, I have to, because I start focusing too much on my breath. And then I'm like, I'm breathing too fast. Like I'm running too fast, or I'm like, I'm not in good shape. And then I start like going down this like negative. So I just put in like kind of a whatever business podcast. I listen to Acquired, where they do like a 4-hour episode on like Visa.
Okay.
And then it's like, how did Visa start? And like in, 19, whatever, I don't know.
So like a 4-hour episode will last you
like a few
couple runs.
Yeah. I'm not doing I can't run 4 hours. So
crazy.
Okay, Jill.
Well, thanks for having me, Dave.
Thanks for coming. This is fun. In person is so much better. It's way better.
It feels more real.
Yes.
And doing anything online is just kind of.
And there's the lag, like through.
Right.
You got the lag. So I'm talking over you. You're talking over me. This is way better.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon.